Thanks for staying with us. Now, the South African Revenue Service has collected 2.15 trillion rand in gross tax revenue for the 2023-24 financial year. Some say that this is a signal that the Revenue Service is working hard to restore its former glory. Sars Commissioner Kieswetter says the net revenue collections are 10 billion rand more than what government had projected during the February budget. Dr. Lumkile Mondi is with the Wits School of Economics and Finance and joins us live now. Dr. Mondi, thank you so much for your time. Before we even get into the issues around SARS, let's talk about the developing story around former Speaker of the National Assembly, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. Some say that, her resigning from Parliament is a step in the right direction, especially when looking at, issues around accountability, but also the court appearance today saying that it does look like justice is equal for everyone. But I wonder, what are your thoughts on what has been happening around her?
My thoughts reflect on the promises that President Ramaphosa had put to South Africans that were embarking on a new dawn. And that new dawn included the revitalization of institutions, which we'll be talking about shortly, such as SARS. But more importantly also, in terms of the quality of the leadership that was going to lead various institutions, including Parliament. So I was very surprised that in an environment of new dawn, the Speaker would behave the way she did, that once allegations were there and the NPA said there's some evidence, we have expected her during the new dawn to step aside and until the investigations have been conducted, but she put back. However, I think I'm very happy that probably the president didn't reach out, that, she does the right thing. And therefore, by her resigning, I think it's a very positive signal, albeit very, very late. We'll expect that in a democratic society, 30 years on, that many of our politicians and leaders, when there's suspicions around them, they should really walk the walk and really allow due processes to go forward. Because if we don't do that, we're sending a very, very bad signal around accountability, which is something that led us to the collapse of many institutions, such as SARS, which I'm sure we're going to talk more about it in the next few minutes.
And speaking about institutions and how, of course, the institutions themselves would have then, be weakened in the past, this improvement by SARS has been seen by some as a steady one, and saying that in revenue collection, in fact, they've done well. But I wonder for you, is this a signal that the institution is becoming a bit more strengthened and possibly restoring its former glory?
Let me put it this way, that, of all the commissions that we've had, remember that our president instituted somewhere or done by President Zuma, such as the State of Capture Commission. But the president also, through the Nugent and many other commissions, we saw on the Nugent Commission, at least that all the recommendations, if you follow them through, you are able to revitalize an institution such as this one, SARS. Not only that, but also a completely different institution under AD Kieswetter, because what we're seeing an institution that is putting the interest of the country first, that is following through on all suspicion of illicit money flows, on our metals being taken out of the country illegally, tobacco being brought in illegally, but also many SMEs and other individuals not paying taxes. So this institution is very, very different from the one that Moyane hollowed out, even the one that Pravin Gordhan had worked on. This is completely new. I'm hoping that there'll be never again any temptation by politicians to tap our institutions. But more importantly also, it shows us that when there is commitment to follow through on the recommendations of these commissions, such as the Nugent one, and we get the right leadership, in this case, AD Kieswetter, we're able then, therefore, to rebuild institutions and make them success. This is phenomenal that this institution, despite poor economic growth, despite difficulties that we see domestically, that they're able to get that money that they have, that the state has, to spend on critical issues, to support incomes, to support the economy, and to grow the economy going forward. So this is exceptional. that we're able to follow through good leadership, through a follow through of the recommendation of the Commission.
So collecting is one thing then, but another thing you've just touched on right now, the spending and the allocation thereof. Is it being done correctly in your view then?
I mean, the Minister of Finance some weeks ago in his budget did lay out his expenditure plan. And we're aware that before, because there's an election coming, that there's been so much work being done. I mean, in Johannesburg, everywhere you see workers working, fixing potholes, fixing traffic lights. You can see that there is a change in making sure that we spend so that we can have a better infrastructure. And today, in fact, I saw a train in Orlando in the Lens route, which in fact had also been destroyed and through vandalization, as well as, of course, the problems that PRASA had in terms of corruption there. And the subsequent lack of action following the commission and the recommendation on what to be done. So it shows to us that, when you are able to do the right thing institutionally, get the right leadership, that South Africans must not really lose hope that if we can do the right thing, if people follow the latter and the recommendation, we still have got Zondo Commission recommendations which have not been followed through. We still have got also the other commission that look at the PIC. Some of the things have not been followed through. So we can see that those institutions are still going to struggle for a long time. Those individuals that are implicated in the commission, some of them on the list, particularly of the ANC. And it seems to me that if the parties themselves don't act, therefore the lack of accountability, the continuous underrating of our country and poor performance and corruption continues in our society. We need to do the right thing, follow through, make sure that we hold everyone accountable, but more importantly also, individuals who are implicated do the right thing without them being kicked out by their political parties to restore the quality of the country and the wishes of our constitutions of 1996.
I suppose then, when listening to what you're saying, then what comes to mind is something that the Commissioner and I spoke about earlier this week, and that is getting off the Financial Action Task Force grey listing. That is still top of mind, and even for him as well. And the Commissioner saying that work still needs to be done. Yes, some work has happened, but more needs to be done to get South Africa off this particular list. So if we then are to look at the work that has been done up until this moment, have we done enough to come off that list next year?
Not enough. We need then the prosecution of the individuals. That's where we need Padohi, we need the Minister also of Justice and the Minister of Police to work hand in hand to assist the other authorities in that departments to make sure that we follow through on these illicit flows, we follow through on this allegation in relation to the Zondo Commission, and we start doing the right thing. I think when that happens, it will fit like a hand in glove with the work that SARS has done and the Reserve Bank have done in terms of really making sure that financially we get our house in order.
And of course, that is, one of those developing stories that we'll continue to monitor. But Dr. Mondi, do appreciate your time. Thank you so much for chatting to us this afternoon. That was Dr. Lumkile Mondi, who is with the Wits School of Economics and Finance.